It's season 4 and it's a fresh new episode series for us. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode of Enlightened Conversations, where each week we invite guests to share their views on the world, work and their personal lives in an enlightened way. Our hosts have been chosen especially to role model just how we do an enlightened conversation. Today's episode is hosted by Michelle Lightworker. Hi everyone, it's Michelle Lightworker here, and welcome to another conversation that is enlightened, we hope. Welcome, Christin Ewald to the program.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. It's so wonderful to have you. We always, get drawn to people for, I believe, the right reasons at the right time. And I saw you drop a bit of a video on transforming core issues, and I'm super excited to talk about that today. Like, it has started off a chain of reactions on my end I can't wait to talk about. So I know that you had so much today to say about it yourself, and I'm looking forward to, talking more in depth with you about that today as well. So for everybody who wants to know who Christin is, this wonderful being, was born and raised in Germany and now residing in Australia with her 8-year-old son, and she's passionate about lightworking and practices it ever since her first Reiki healing in 2013. And in 2018, she graduated as Master Lightworker Practitioner and facilitates her own healings today. And besides this, she is passionate about nursing, and privately, she loves parenting, enjoying her life and keeping fit and healthy. Welcome, Christin.
Thank you. Hello.
It's so great. And also, a little add-on to that, many moons ago, when we first had Enlightened Conversations Season 1, Christin was so beautiful in helping us. We had a person from Austria who spoke German, and we thought we might need a translator, and Christin helped us on that show. So and then went on to do some hosting of Enlightened Conversations as well. So it's been such a long time between kind of Enlightened Conversations now, but it just feels like yesterday to me.
Yeah, it does. It's so nice to catch up again. As you said, the perfect timing. I feel like I so needed that, and the vibrations behind it, and yeah, that's just so beautiful. And I'm still in contact with the man that I translated with, so we are still sending each other messages and saying hello, and on their posts, like supporting each other and things. Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, Werner Zendi, he's an incredible artist, and he still does amazing work. And I love seeing his posts as well. He's a beautiful being of light. He really captures the essence of the connection and the light in his paintings and artwork and things like that. So thank you for that. And so with transforming core issues, I've got a lot to say on it, but I guess in a nutshell, I could say that, the purpose of being here, evolving our consciousness, is something that we simply can't do really if we're not transforming core issues. And
true.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like we do it kind of almost like an ice skater, like we're skating along, we hit a bit of a bump in the ice, and we might get a little thing and scrape the ice and get by. But ultimately, if we don't thaw out that ice and learn to swim, we'll be forever skating on the surface. And that's the image I'm getting sent now. And so for me, it's about learning to be at peace in the flow of life in the water, and not just skate on top of it.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts around transforming core issues, Christin, in terms of being here and evolving consciousness?
I agree. I think there's really, as you said, no other way of doing it. And as you just said that, I noticed how I feel angry sometimes when it's just like scratching the surface, because there's so much more we can do, and there's so much power, and it's actually quite easy too, if we know, of course, how to do it and to do it. And I don't know, I'm just always blown away by the transformation it really does bring. It really goes from once it's transformed at the core, it just changes the person so much. I had like people saying that person changed entirely. I like, wow, it's just amazing. And it really happens after the session, after you've integrated it. It's just like literally a new life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I've often thought, and I think it'll be good to kind of help people understand how you can do transforming core issues as well, because I
Mm,
think for us it's easy, but for other people they might think, "Oh, what are you talking about? I don't even know where to start." But I'm more than happy to sort of walk people through that and help hear how you walk people through that. But
mm,
from the point of view of my experience with clients coming to see me and them not knowing how to shift something in their life, they just feel something is stuck, whether it be work or a relationship, an addiction, might even be post-traumatic stress disorder, a depression
mm.
or mental health issue. But once they actually get to the actual core, what they have found is it might affect their work and their relationships. Even if they only thought they had a problem with one, work and relationship and their mental health and their physical health
Yeah.
and their addictions, their compulsions, and their ability to be empowered naturally without me having to tell them. I loved when you said that in your video. We don't have to tell people
Yes.
what to do to be empowered. Once they're empowered, they know what to do, and it really helps to make them feel step into that power, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I like what you say because I've experienced the same, like with clients and with myself, because I'm thinking, why is this not working? And this and
Mhm.
this and that. It seems to be like, and then it's
Yeah.
like it's actually underneath all of it. That's why it's so good to go underneath. So whether you have the first
Mm.
situation or the second, okay, there's a third now. Something is trying to tell you something, probably. um, yeah, it's just all
Yeah.
combined. And I did actually a video about this too. So if you do struggle with all the things, or let's say you make little changes yourself already, but they just do scratch the surface, and you get to a point where it's still not working, it's still, then you want to like lean in and say, okay, what's actually going on underneath? Like, why is it still not
Yeah.
like shifting? Why does it still feel stuck? Yeah.
Yes. And I think like it's really fascinating because when I'm hearing you speaking, it just makes so much sense.
Mm,
That every little thing that happens to us, whether it's exactly the package of what we've put our order in for, like this is what I want, this goal, this manifestation, and then
yeah.
we don't get it. Well, we think we don't get it, but what we're getting is we're getting an opportunity to heal something that will help us get there. And
Yeah.
so sometimes we don't realize it's a help, that things aren't working, but in
Yes.
fact they are the signs that we need to do something. And it may be the trickle, like you're saying, like those little things, and just addressing them first. But then it's like, oh no, okay, that was the warm up.
Mm.
um Now
Yeah.
now we gotta do the deep dive.
Yes.
um
And I was, something just popped in as well when you talked about this. Oh, so what I like is, for example, I'm wanting to manifest a relationship. A part of me is like, yeah, I'm so excited for this. And then where is it? Why is it not coming in? It's like there's this bouncy jelly already that needs to shift and heal. And I feel like often when we manifest something, we do want to feel bigger or brighter or happier. So just the way there already is already us, as you said, like healing along the way. So we don't just get happier as it comes in. We're actually already doing it on the way. Yeah. So
yes.
yeah, it really is a gift. I really noticed that. It was like whatever you ask for, the whole way there is already,
Yep.
yeah, the
Yep.
blessing. Hmm.
It's true. And I think it's a benefit of hindsight now because we can kind of see the patterns of that happening.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If I hadn't healed that, I would have had that person in
Mm.
my life. Like I even look at like my hubby who I've been with 15 years. Um, you know, he goes, oh, I'd never be able to think that I'd have a relationship with someone like you if I was still in the space I was in, like
Yeah.
way before I met you. And same with me. And he said, oh, you wouldn't have wanted to be with me. I was just a completely different person. So, like even it's not even about the person, it's about where they're at in their life, and
Yeah.
and whether or not we would resonate with that person. And
Yes.
maybe there is a person that's perfect for us, but they're not at that spot yet and they're in the middle of something. And so the universe is saying, well, okay, what can we
Here's the
send
switch.
you right now that will just make you even more evolved and equipped for a great relationship, so that when the timing's right and it aligns, this person will be in the right pocket, and then you guys can just reflect together on, that's why I couldn't be with you back then.
Yeah. And I like that about other things in life as well. When we think, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, and my life is such in shadows, or we think it's not perfect or whatever, our journey is just off track. And then we live through it and we grow and evolve through it, and we do go down and change and transform, and we look back and think it was just actually totally perfect. Like I had everything I needed. And when I look back and I was like, there was actually nothing that wasn't in alignment at that time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I noticed that as well.
I've
Mm.
actually that's kind of what I was referring to when I said, oh my God, I saw what you were talking about. I'm like, I've got to jump on it. I've got to jump on it. Because what had happened for me recently was that I've been guided to go through a lot of the belongings that I brought up from my mum passing away last year. I popped them away. We bought some IKEA furniture, really lovely storage unit. I'd sorted it out into piles, I guess you could say. Oh, well, this is what I need to go through. That's what I need to go through for that bit and those kind of things. So to a point, it was organized, but it was not like keepsake organized. I mean, most of it, a lot was photos and things like that. And it took me 7 days, Christin, to go through these photos and to photograph every single one of them on an app that I just got. And that whole process, and then also because that whole process was over 4,000 photos, because that process was so intense of person's face in front of you, your relationship, that time of life, the struggles you were having, the struggles you now know they were having, even if the time you didn't. And all those was really interesting for me because, okay, I've done a lot of work on myself, but it's almost like I couldn't before now because of circumstances, I couldn't even sit down and do that. And I felt after I did it, I felt so much better in an energetic way, just a release because I have captured what I need to capture. So um it's there for keepsake for my family heritage and those kind of things, which I really want, but it's not something that I can't face, or I'm not ready for. And that avoidance, and not that I was avoiding it, but I wasn't prioritizing it because I had other things that I was doing, but that I could feel towards knowing I had the capacity to do it, that I could feel that resistance that we get, that resistance we get to facing something. And I was like, it's like that fear of the unknown. Oh no, what's going to be there on the other side? What's going to trigger in me? And because I was able to, it was actually a good confirmation. My hubby said to me, oh, did you cry much like after the first day? I said, no, actually I smiled a lot.
Oh wow, that's beautiful. Yeah.
I know it was such a big deal, like to go, oh, that's where I'm at. Like that's where I'm at. I'm in the joy, not the sadness. I'm in that I got what was going on, but it all had to happen. I'm in the joy. I'm in that moment of joy and of remembering that person and things like that. And so I guess what I'm saying is we can let go of stuff that we've been holding on to once we're able to face it.
Yeah.
And that was in a very tangible form. But, I had to let go. I mean, I'm talking, I had it's been over 15 bags of belongings and photos and keepsakes and everything. And I had to sort through a lot of things to find one thing and, that kind of thing, a poem or something like that. But often, I don't know, a lot of people have a lot of stuff, and they can't let go of it. And I relate sometimes. I'm very zen, but when it came to this, 18 months is quite a long time for me to have something sort of packed away and not go through it. So anyway, just wanted to provide that example that what you were talking about when you were talking about transforming core issues, that really brought that up for me.
Yeah, it really does sound like a total integration of it as well, doesn't it? It's almost like this gift, like coming back of, wow, look at this. Can you remember that? And I love that you can be in the joy of it because that alone, I feel like is the result or like shows the place we can be in, if we do like keep working on ourselves and everything. Because there's so many people that are having so much fear or sitting in the fear and then trying to work it out. Like it's so beautiful that, yeah. you know,
Yeah.
that you can be in the joy while you're doing these big
Yeah. And I
things.
think it's not, it's like, I remember you saying on the video, you know, it's like happiness doesn't just happen. It doesn't just,
Yeah.
here it is. It's like,
Yeah. No.
because, you know, we all say I want to be happy, joyous and free. But
Yeah.
and we can choose to be happy. Sure. We can choose to be happy, and we can make our mind up in that moment. I'm going to be happy with my present, even if it's not perfect and stuff like that. But it's degrees of, I think it's degrees of resolving
Yes.
things that make us unhappy. And
Absolutely.
what are your thoughts around that?
Like I can just sing a song of it right now. Because I
Yeah.
have been sitting with so much myself and like really intentionally used, you know, what I've learned and just gone in and sat with it and meditated more. And if I did get stuck personally, I would, you know, consult my mentor to help me just like what's going on and to hold the space. And in a place where I think I feel so happy. Like literally, you know, when you sometimes have this period in your life and you just wake up and although things are good, you still feel sad or it's still like this heaviness. But now I'm waking up and thinking, it's gone. Like literally, I don't have to feel like this anymore. And I find myself actually having to get used to feeling happy because you know
Yeah.
it wasn't there. But because it's gone and resolved, it's like I do feel happy. You know, I do enjoy it.
Yes.
But yeah, it works. I'm a
It's
living
it's
example. Like it really works.
it's a little bit it can be a little bit bizarre, because some people, like, usually I find there's two different things that create an unhappiness within our soul.
Mm,
And they're usually from a feeling of emptiness, you know, where we feel like something's missing and there's a
yeah,
longing and we don't know, we can't quite sort of work it out.
yeah.
Or there's a feeling of unrest and unsettlement in our some aspect of our being. There's something not quite right, and it might be our tummy, or, you know, heart space feels like heavy, or there's a heaviness about us, or we completely don't want to. We're sort of avoiding being in our body because it feels so uncomfortable, you know.
Mm,
And I think that those two things is you know, usually they're usually triggered off by something going on in our environment, you know, that triggers our like feelings of emptiness, or triggers our feelings of reaction and unrest, and we want to
yeah,
lash out, you know, that kind of
yeah.
thing. And so I kind of, like, when you were talking in your video about transforming core issues, I really wanted to kind of share that, what technically, I guess, why that happens, so that people might understand what we were talking about. And
Mm,
when we talk about imprints, and because imprints are situations, if you like, you're in a situation um, in your life. It could be that you're an adult, it could be that you're not an adult and you're little, and you encounter a situation that's in one way or another abusive or traumatic for you, and it imprints on your, what we call your etheric body, which is, and your astral body, which is you know, your second bodies that reflect your physical body. And that trauma, if it's not resolved, and or that abuse, if it's not resolved and it's kind of in the ether and it's in your soul or your feeling body, it actually starts to trickle down into your physical body, and then it creates, if you like, a portal to be able to solve
yeah,
that problem. That, like, that imprint creates like a little window that you can walk into to actually understand it and go, oh, that's what it's about. Or but it also creates other complications around it if it's not resolved. It can create health issues. It can create us to emotionally shut down, and also that it's almost like, if it was like a little, in a little spaceship, if that traumatic event was like in a little spaceship inside your body somewhere, inside your heart, that was broken and awful, and then it starts to float up to your mind, it starts to circulate, and it's not like you can stop it, because
no,
it belongs there, but it's floated up there.
yeah,
And so these, what we call yin or yang imprints, yin being, I was in a situation where I needed something, it wasn't given to me, and I feel an emptiness. Or a yang imprint, where I was in a situation and I was attacked, or I felt attacked, emotionally, physically violated in some way. And
Mm.
so there's these two different hot and cold imprints. One's very empty. One's called a yin imprint. The other one's called a yang imprint. And it's very toxic. It feels very shame-based because often we feel like we deserved the abuse. So it's very hard to unpack. Sometimes it's very messy, and sometimes it's got someone else's energy in there with it.
Yeah.
So just wanted to give people a little quick rundown of that, so they kind of have an inkling as what we're talking about when we're
Mm.
talking about resolving and transforming core issues. Just they've got a picture of it.
Yeah. That's nice. I like it's actually reminding me because I forgot even about the yin yang. It's great to hear that again and have that brought up because I've been so when I have someone come to me with something, I kind of use because I have so many tools and not so many things. I work with my intuition as well, and that usually plays out. It works with the client too. So, whatever happens, there's ways that I'm being guided to in the way I ask them or help them feel it themselves, that they can go deeper. So
Yes.
yeah, so therefore I totally like lost the actual, separation of like this yin and yang actually. So that's just so good to see again. But yeah, it helps when you have someone, if you don't know how to do it yourself, to have someone ask the questions and taking you deeper. Okay, so what does that feel like? What's underneath
Yeah.
that feeling? And just help them to feel it sometimes as well, right?
Oh my God, yes. And
Mm,
like you're saying, so that when you're it's wonderful that you've got so many tools. People
mm,
probably, that's the thing, you can't have too many tools, because you'll find that, and we were talking about this last week on Enlightened Conversations, that spirit will talk to you in your intuition and guide you because you've
yeah,
got more tools,
yeah,
and sometimes you have a yin imprint under a yang one, or a yang imprint under a yin one, and
true, yeah.
and there might be layers of imprints, and you're diving through them. So they could change, but you won't. It's so complex that sometimes it's you just, as a navigator, helping somebody to kind of then let's unveil that, and then let's unveil that, and then let's unveil that, and then they're going through the layers and telling you what's going on, and they're the only ones that really know what's going on, really. I mean, we can get a sense of it, but I've never met anybody who couldn't tell me so much information about one imprint that they've gone into. It was ridiculous. This is so much information in there. What does it look like? What is it? Who's there? What's being said to
Yeah.
you? You know, how do you feel at this moment? And, just so many details that,
Mm,
but as you said, you get guided to ask the right questions to be able to find out what to do, and how to resolve that with the person, and to help them to support themselves as well after the session, just to
yeah,
say, okay, to
yes.
back this up for you. At the time, you were left, you felt like you was completely alone, your heart was broken. What you really needed at the time was to know that you're not never alone. How can we
Mm,
reinforce that for you? What things can we do to help you heal that wound? Because it takes a little while for those wounds to heal. And sometimes, don't you think, like, people aren't ready to hit the next veil until they've healed something else? And it might
yes.
not be that they're skating on the top at all. They've done a deep dive.
Yeah, that's why I like when you said it happens at the perfect time, and this whole avoiding, it's not always that we avoid, it's really that what needs to happen sometimes first before we are ready to look at something else, or
Yes.
maybe even have the bigger thing come up, or find enough trust in the process of feeling or opening up to then be able to go deeper like this, you know?
Mm.
You never know. And I'm getting goosebumps saying that. So,
It's so true, because
yeah.
if these are all little portals to the imprints, they're also portals to our intuition as well. So as we
Mm,
heal that aspect, as we heal that aspect of our psyche, we've got more evolved energy coming
yes.
through that can handle issues that we couldn't handle before, to
Yeah.
resolve those.
Yeah.
And I don't like to. I know that sometimes we have really, really, big ones. People hit those. Maybe they've had, like, a death in the family, or some sexual abuse, something really big for them,
Mm,
that it's just too hard to do. They just don't jump there.
yeah.
I believe our psyche protects us, and if someone's not ready to go there, then that's a good thing. We know we
Yeah.
can do other things to help them first that are just as important, because that
Mm,
preparation is important.
yeah. It is. And when I think about and our energetic body and the physical body, how you were talking about it earlier, it does sometimes take strength physically and emotionally as well to be able to face certain things, especially if it's been, very impactful or very heavy. Or when I think about our children, when they sometimes experience things, it's like we just shut it down as a protection, and then, okay, cool, now I'm in a better place. It just
Mm.
sometimes even naturally comes up. It's like, oh, what's this? What was that happened so many years ago? Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And one of the things that I wrote a few things that I wanted to talk about. Um, oh yeah, when you were talking about pursuing dreams as a parent, I loved what you said, because we can't pursue dreams unless we give ourselves permission, and we don't give ourselves permission until we've acknowledged that we're worthy of that. And that was amazing. But it was just such a good example. We can't, like, no one can resolve that for us, right? Like, that's a
Oh.
core issue. But I loved what you said when you said, and that's why I wrote it down here. Just talk about goosebumps. And you said, what greater gift can you give your child in this world than being true to themselves and having a voice and living from their heart? And so boom, I was just like, that is so true.
Yeah,
So true, Kristen.
that's where my
What
mind
greater
goes.
gift.
Yeah,
Yeah, it just made
because
me want to cry right now.
yeah, oh, a
Yeah.
part of me goes,
Big
that's what I
tears.
said. Yeah, but it's true.
Really?
It really
Mm-hmm.
is true because no matter what, because when I think about the impacts, the way we want to protect our kids, I don't know any parent that is not concerned about their future or them doing well and what that even means, or what parent or child doesn't face any challenges in whatever way, shape, or form. But if you have that, it does matter what happens to the children, but it does matter because in that place it feels like everything is possible to be resolved. They're capable of facing challenges, they're capable of living their dreams, they're capable of defining them, they're also capable of accepting things when they don't work out because there might be something better coming. So
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
think as like a, I don't know, parenting, I'm not sure what to voice, but I find that it's a good core value to have. Yeah.
I feel that, and it's like we can't, like, we might love our children, and I believe
Mm,
people have that intentionality. Oh, it's my baby, and I want to
yeah.
protect it, and I love it so much. I'm the best mum in the whole world because I love, love, love my child. But the reality is, and I do believe this, we really can't love something more than we actually have the ability to love ourselves, because that self-worth, when you really tap into the absolute core of yourself, we're all connected.
We are. We
So
are.
we are all love, we're all connected, we're all equal. And so if we're always putting, I know we've got to be protective parents and take care of our kids and make sure they're safe. And that's not what I'm saying. Like, don't put them in harm's way or anything. But when we're always putting our children's needs ahead of our own, like in a dysfunctional way, and not pursuing our dreams,
Mm,
then that's somehow that's saying, I don't value myself enough. I'm not,
yeah.
and so I loved what you were saying about that. That's so profound. And
Thank you.
in what greater gift can we give our children than, you know being true to themselves? That's a reflection of something we've, had to do, or we've been able to step into ourselves, right?
Yes, exactly. And then so first of, like, so many things come to mind just then.
Yeah.
Because if you do teach your children this way, even if they then go out and they're being faced with the challenges where you're not around to protect them, like let's say someone offers them drugs or alcohol, or when sometimes people just, how about we do this and rob a store, like whatever shape of, and then they can just go, does it actually feel right to me? Like, where am I sitting with this? Like, it's just the trust of, and the confidence as well to make their own choices, even if that is to
Yes.
say no and remove themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other thing is, well, there was just something else coming to mind. I forgot now, but you were talking about the parenting. I lost my thread now. Oh, how do we create our own impact? When we when we undervalue ourselves. Like, let's say we do have this dream, we are aware of it, we shut it down, and then we go on our way. That's how we can actually create our own imprints in our body, because it's like, well, you are aware of this, you heard me say it, and now you don't show up for me, and I feel just sad just talking about it, and that's also when then we get resentful, as you said, it gets into our head, we feel bad about it because we know what's going on, but we push it down, then things don't work out with our children or in our relationships because we are just unhappy and we ignore it. So yeah, just to be mindful that that's just how easy it is to create your own, but also how powerful it is to just create your happy life that is, harmonious and in alignment with what feels right for you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah. And it is true, isn't it? It's like when, because I think parents do step into this, oh, I've got to protect my kids, it's unsafe world and all this kind of thing. But if you actually have like trust in yourself and you have trust in your intuition and you have trust in the universe that everything is serving in your highest good for your own evolving, then you can actually believe that about your child as well.
yes.
And then you can teach them everything is happening in your highest good. You trust yourself, then they trust themselves, and then they can actually navigate better because they actually trust that gut feeling that you were talking about.
Yes.
No, I'm not going to do that. Well, yes, I'm going to do that. And I'm good enough. And I believe in myself. And I loved how you were celebrating Heinrich and at school and saying, he has been acknowledged and that his teachers are actually speaking about on his like little report cards and things like that, the things that you've got on the fridge, the words, that the language of being brave and the language of being, all these positive messages that he's now, it's almost like, his little vibration is impacting on his teacher to affirm him back what he already feels about himself. And so we create a different energy for our children rather than this whole protect.
Yes, the world is unsafe.
We start to attract good stuff and for our children as well. But there's always going to be something we miss and that we don't get right. And even as because I've got grown daughters now and they both love me and my parenting and think I'm amazing and all that, which is, thank God, which is great. But but we're able to have those honest talks about what they couldn't put their finger on and what I couldn't put my finger on at certain times in their lives. But that's good too, because not being a micromanager parent who's still aware and who wants their children to grow up aware, it's still good for them. And to know this for any adult parents who are cursing themselves that they missed something important, that they need their own journey of discovery to find out certain things too. So while we try and be perfect parents, sometimes we're ripping them off from that experience or putting a judgment on ourselves unnecessarily because they've got a journey, they have to. Like that's part of being a good parent, is accepting that they're going to have their journey.
Yes. And if you're a capable adult being able to stand life, you want to grow your kids into it. So why don't we have the faith in them that they can do this, that they can handle what spirit, throws their way. And sometimes that fear around the parenting is also, okay, where's that fear for us coming from? Am I too scared of, that I can't handle it, or that it's so bad that, what is the actual fear that we are holding around this as well? We can look at that too, instead of,
Absolutely.
acting from that. And
it's challenging too. It's challenging because there's been some big things I've missed, and that's for them to share. But I went through a shock horror traumatic kind of feeling around some of the things, and just went, oh, how could I have missed that? And had to do a little bit of my own process work around feeling good enough as a parent because, hey, I should have seen everything. And I think that's not our job. Our job isn't to see everything about our children. Our job is to see everything about that we can, that we're meant to anyway, about ourselves at the time, and to resolve what we can and to transform those core issues and any other issues that drop in along the way.
I guess we're on our way.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then to support them, to be able to help them to do the same.
mm,
And that's the journey of life, not to be policing our children so that they're pure and free of any trauma ever in their whole
yeah.
existence, because that's unrealistic.
And I have been through a bit of a journey with my son already where we had to unpack some of the stuff for him too. And when their truth comes out, you just think, oh my God, wow. The wisdom around this, when that's integrated, you think
So,
that is just incredible. Like, they get so capable. And I have this thing where I try to, where else can I have my back so I don't miss anything? Sometimes I get into that. It's like just that's just trust that it will be fine. And as you
yeah,
said, that in itself manifests totally different experiences often as well. So what we are really so fearful of in the beginning often doesn't happen. And you'll be like, oh wow, they're actually choosing this. This is actually now our reality because that's what we put it out there. That's what the intentions were.
yeah,
Yeah, it's quite
yeah.
amazing. But yeah, still parenting is still not easy though. We grow with each other, don't we? Yeah.
I know. And look, and seriously, like even as a now mother of two daughters in their 20s,
Mm,
I'm not overly challenged, but I'm not under um in any, I guess, mindset that I'm fooling myself that it won't continue to be an interesting
yeah.
journey of parenting, and knowing like how much, like even going through my own like relationship stuff, a few journals and
Mm,
memoirs and stuff on my mum's and that, and seeing some transactional letters and things that flew back and forward, and just knowing like oh gosh, I could see mum was trying her hardest, but it was really pushing my buttons. And from her side, it was like she just thought she was being helpful, but she'd suggest a lot of stuff, and it would just exhaust me,
mm,
and reinforce my own internal under transformed belief that I wasn't good enough.
yeah. Yes.
Rather than, oh my God, she's being so helpful, how lucky am I, with every suggestion, and celebrating it, instead of that
Mm,
attitude, I'd be like, oh, another suggestion, that I'm not good enough, like boom, boom, boom. And just to sort of know that, like, yeah, it that where the boundaries are, I think, is it, as a parent, how much to share, how much to respect the journey and the navigation. And that changes over a period of time, so like when they're 8, they're different from 18. And when they're, God knows, how that changes into their 30s. I wouldn't know
mm.
yet, with their own children. I've got a bit of a heads up on that one. I'll
Oh
just
wow.
be, I'll just be a little bit like, because that's when it happened to me with the suggestions with my babies.
Mm.
I'll just be like, would you prefer me? Yeah. I'll be like, would you prefer me to make suggestions here, or would you prefer to
Yeah,
ask?
yeah, we
You
do
know?
that, don't we? Yeah.
You
One
tell
of
me how you want to be loved in this situation.
Yes. That's a beautiful question, isn't it? How do you want to be loved? Because so often we think we know. And I had the same challenges when my son was born. My mom came in. We had so much conflict, and we both thought we haven't seen each other for years. And she came all the way to see me in Australia, and it just crashed constantly. And we'd be like,
Yeah.
"What is even happening?" But looking back now to the
Mm.
day, it's like, okay, you know. And the viewpoint also changes. I think, as you said, when I'm thinking now, like just it's my home that you get into, da-da-da. But when I'm seeing it now that I've grown a little bit with my son as well and his boundaries, and he had to tell me to just, Mom, I don't need this. I need more of you doing this and that with for me.
Hmm.
I'm thinking now, see, my mom didn't even come from a place where she wanted to take over. She just tried to help me and love me, but you know, yeah. So it's
Sounds
it's
like a common thread.
yeah, common thread for sure. And then it's my parenting, like my intention as well to be even better at parenting as my parents were to me. So I think that's a beautiful adjustment to say, okay, like how can I love you here? What do
Mm.
you need from me in that?
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think I think the main thing, like with core issues, is
Mm,
you know, we tend to not know what our needs are, until we get to the core of those issues. So
Yeah.
people might ask us, what do you need? And we just don't know, because
Yeah.
we haven't done a deep dive ourselves. We're
Yeah.
still a little bit in the dark, and it's no one's fault that we don't know.
Oh,
But it's our responsibility to go there, and to, when we're resourced enough, to be able to go there and check it out. Because I
yeah.
think it makes us difficult to live around, doesn't it? When
Yeah.
people
When we
like,
don't know.
how can I love you? And I don't know. Like, I
Like
really don't.
unpleasable kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a good way to actually solve that could be if we do get angry or resentful or just grumpy and we don't know what it is, but everything is just annoying and we don't know what we need either, to just allow ourselves to feel annoyed. I just feel so annoyed by this. And then
Mm.
we
Mm.
sometimes often have the next emotion coming up, like, I'm just so angry because that didn't work out and I tried so
Yeah.
hard. And, then the tears may flow. And then we go, you know what? I just need a break. I just need a nap, or I just need you to hug me. Like, it just comes naturally. When we talk about, we don't have to tell anyone what to say or do or be. It just happens if we allow ourselves, to be in that moment.
Yeah.
And if that moment is we are angry, then, of course, in a like appropriate way, you don't want to lash out, but allow
Yeah.
yourself to get angry. Then you'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, here it is. And then it
The wisdom
shifts.
comes through.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Because
interesting, isn't it?
people around us, they want us to love us as well. And they go, oh, is that what you need? I
Mhm.
had no idea. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
yeah. And
almost like a relief for them. It's like, oh, thank God,
yes.
you know now.
Yeah, and maybe they get out of their people pleaser too and go, oh my
Mm.
God, I just tried to make you happy. It's like, is that what you need? Is that how easy it can be?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like they're off the hook. It's like they don't have to
Yes.
try and think what they've got to give you and what's
Yeah.
missing. And it's interesting because I kind of look like that in the more, I guess, every day, because a lot of my issues I've resolved. So it's like, just being where I am, I guess, in life, rather than
Mm.
I'm sitting on all this stuff now. It's like, just day to day now, not recreating trauma for myself, because
Yeah, that's beautiful.
we can, like you said, like just letting that anger be there or whatever, just in
Mm.
relation to something. So just, shopkeeper is angry at, annoyed with you or short with you or whatever, go into the shops and you're like, I didn't need that shit,
Mm.
like far out. I was
Yeah.
having a good morning and then that happened. But then it's like, just to let it out and go, well, that wasn't, I really don't like it when that happens, because, just following that, whatever, not being angry at the person, just taking it back
Yes.
and going, oh, I really value respect,
Yeah.
and it really annoys me when people aren't respectful. And so then, okay, I got that out and move on, rather than like,
Mm.
1,000 of those things happen throughout the day and you're just shoving them down and trying not to be
Yes.
angry about it. And then you're re-traumatizing yourself and putting it into
Creating.
your imprints into your body that have to thaw out at some point, because like they can't just not be there. They're going to be there. So
Mm.
it's like not recreating the abuse for ourselves that might have happened in the past. I guess that's the talent of emotional intelligence as we move forward, after we've resolved a lot of our issues and we don't start to recreate that pattern again. So
Mm.
being ourselves and being with our emotions, I think, is really important.
Yeah, that's so there's a lot of like a self-worth around it as well, right? And once you removed one, you'd be like, I don't want any more of that. You kind of become protective of your energy. I also feel like it's great self-care, actually. It's like a self-care necessity to feel your emotions and be with them and voice them and travel that back. And it's just like looking after yourself, really. It's like, oh wow, what's happening? We are
Mm.
so sad, you know? So, oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
where that comes from. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Hmm.
a little bit different from, like, when you have a core issue and you deal with it, and then you sort of feel like, oh crap, I feel like I've opened Pandora's box, and you feel like
Yeah.
you're thawing a lot of emotions out and it's just a bit overwhelming. That's really, really different. Like, that's something I
Mm.
always say, be prepared for that when you're dealing with a core issue, and have your, all your resources set up so you can make sure you reach out, because that
Mm.
emotional flooding can sometimes happen after a core issue has been dealt with, because it's like, oh, the body's going, oh, thank God I can release this emotion now. I
Yeah.
don't want to continue to poison myself. I don't
Hmm.
want to die from, something I'm bottling up here. It's creating something in my body. And I want to be free. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. You know, and it starts to release, and like a bit like an ice block melting,
Mm,
like that ice is melting, and it's just, but yeah, in those situations, it's normal. It's so normal to have a lot of overwhelming emotions that don't make any sense whatsoever. That they're all just intertwined
yeah.
with each other.
And just again allowing them to just be there for, and move through it. Because it really is worth coming out the other side.
Oh
And
my
the other
God,
thing
yeah.
is sometimes, when it comes up in waves too, you think, okay, I've released it now, but then over the days, there's a wave coming up again
Mm-hmm.
that can just come into all of that as well. So, yeah,
Yes. Oh, I
extra kindness,
agree.
gentleness, yeah, all the resources, everything you need, have that
Yes.
prepared.
Yes.
Even if it's
Yes.
cups of teas, friends, mentors,
Yes.
drawing, music, maybe just like lying under the blanket for a day, like
Yeah.
whatever it
Junior
is.
days,
Yeah,
Netflix.
yeah.
Sometimes I have found,
Mm,
like when I know that I've got to face something, sometimes watching a movie that will encourage the emotions to start. If I know
yeah,
it's resistant,
yeah.
um, to watch a sad movie, let myself have a little bit of a cry
Mm,
via a movie rather
yeah,
than via living an experience of
yeah.
recreating that and going back there, just to know that, yeah, I need to let some stuff out. I do like that.
I have this too. And then sometimes I even like, what do you call the English word is like reverse back and then watch it again and again when I feel
Rewind.
like, oh, there's some more.
Mm,
Like, can I see that again? Just
yeah,
like help
yeah.
drop into it a bit more. Yeah, I've done that before.
That's great. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, I haven't thought about that. That's
Hmm.
why haven't I done that? I should do that too. Sometimes I'm just too into it, and
Yeah.
but yeah, sometimes you just want to. Like you
Yeah.
kind of
It
start
just
and then
felt
you're like, I
right.
feel the I
Yeah.
feel the I feel the lump in my throat. I want it to keep going so I can get it all out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Without having to think about it. I don't have to think about it. Just wanna I know it's there. I want to get it out.
Mm,
Yeah, it's an interesting process, transforming core issues. And I do like the word transforming, because it's like, it's
yeah.
not like it wasn't meant to be there. Originally I was going to call it releasing core issues, but for me, they do naturally have a release, I guess, from what we're
Yeah.
talking about. But the more important process is that they do transform us.
Yeah. Once it's all released, yeah, that's when the transformation just happens. And yeah,
And it's
it's
hard to
cool.
explain that to people, isn't it? That the
Yeah, it is.
transformation just happens.
That's why I like to give examples, but I guess that's what helps when once you've done it for yourself, it just, that's what that is all about. I get it now.
That's what that feels like. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but I also like to say sometimes, look, when you get sad because you hit your little toe on a thing and you travel that pain all the way through and it releases you, you're just gonna be happy. Like it doesn't matter that you did it. Like, like the pain
Mm,
is gone, you can move on again, and what was just so sad before is lost. So if you wouldn't deal with the sadness and let it come up, you're just constantly agitated because the pain is sitting there. you know? So
exactly.
of
Yep.
course, once you release it, it's like, I'm being happy again. I can jump joyfully. My pain is gone. I don't,
Yep.
sad is felt, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And that's how it
And
works with deeper trauma and yeah, more heavy things as well, or older stuff.
and you have people asking you, why are you so happy all the time? And you're like,
Yeah,
because I'm not
yeah, my
holding on to
feelings.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. I let it go. I feel
Yeah,
it.
it's like,
Let it
imagine
go.
me standing here holding a whole heap of shit.
Yeah,
Would I be happy?
yeah,
No.
no.
Oh, imagine me having let go of all that shit. And I'm standing here without that shit anymore. Would I be happy?
Yeah.
Yes.
It does create a snowball effect, right? Because then you go, I can let it go. I don't have to hold it on. So there's so much knowledge that comes with that even if stuff happens again, you'd be like, I can just let it go. So
Yep.
it's such an
There's that.
uplift.
Yes, it's the
Yeah.
momentum thing.
Yes.
And
Mm.
like we talk about healing our core issues from the point of view of our self-worth and understanding what our needs are, understanding more of where our limits are with our boundaries, understanding more of what our reality actually is, our feelings and things like that.
Yeah.
And understanding how we can step more into adult or higher self rather than inner child or controlling judgmental self. And we talk about those 5 kind of core things from recovering from codependence as being really profound in helping us to work with core issues. So if anybody listening is wanting to know more about those 5 things, they are really the top spots to hit around if I have any core issues or symptoms around any of those things, like loving myself, knowing what I need and want, my reality, moderating my reality, or being aware of my boundaries, then those are the 5 things that it gets a little signposts, aren't they, to help people to go, oh, do you have any core issues? And if you answer yes to any of those, that definitely. I mean, we all have issues around those things that we're healing. So
Yes, we do. And then if you do deal with them at the core and transform them, you attract different results and different experiences and manifest so quickly, like, because you just feel now
nothing in the
you know
way.
what you need, so it can show up and you can actually receive it. There's no what actually is it? I don't know. That it's just gone. So it's so much easier to actually bring it in and
And like you said,
better relationships.
and I think in one of your other posts, you said, how do I feel letting go of all my codependent relationships and not caring what anybody thinks about me? I think it was something along those lines. And you're dancing around your lounge room or wherever it was. And I thought, that's awesome. Exactly. And I think that we do the happy dance. Literally, when even if we attract a situation that reminds us of a previous one, we're out of there a bit quicker, or we just had to go through it to know that we can trust ourselves quicker, or whatever it is. And I've seen this so many times with people. It's like, so what? How many do I have to have before the right one? As many as you need to build that trust with yourself. And then just keep doing it. So
and
what? I attracted another one. Okay.
Yeah.
And I saw it. Oh, I saw it in 15 minutes this time. Oh, I saw it in 15 days this time. Oh, 15 months, whatever it is. But, it'll keep getting to the point where we go, I see it coming through the door.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter how long it takes. We're worth it. That's the thing.
Absolutely. And this whole building trust with yourself totally works. I was at a point where I didn't trust myself at all. And then it goes, oh yeah, I'm making decisions again. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm putting this out there. And for when you talk about the happy dancing video, it was also because I'm so empathetic, I can feel sometimes people when they backtalk or have some opinions and that can weigh you down too, because you get so sad and you take it on. It's like, no, actually, that's not even mine. I don't need to take that on. So, if you release those things, it's not yours. And with codependency, there have been so many emotions that I felt for so long that you think is your normal reality. And then you let them go and you think, I can actually exist without this. And wow, it feels amazing.
Oh, I love that. Yay.
So,
and that's freaking awesome. Like, and I can feel the lightness in that.
Yeah.
It
makes you want to dance.
It does make you want to dance. Like,
it does.
I felt like dancing. I was like, good on you. Like watching Christin dance around the room. I was like, I'm there with you, honey. I'm dancing with you in spirit. Like, and I think that's the other thing too. Like when we've let go of our baggage and we have built that trust with ourselves, and people notice that, there can be a sense of judgment because they haven't, or they're like jealous, or they want that too. And there's a part of them that's angry that they don't have it. And so then they'll start to like pick holes or something like that, or criticize or find, because they're sort of deflecting their own lack of having addressed those things themselves, And I just think, I just try not, it can be irritating because you're in your joy and you just want everybody to celebrate with you. And I think that does happen quicker with people that you surround yourself who have dealt with their issues, that they can, celebrate with you. But I always try and think to myself, jealousy is such a compliment. If they really are feeling angsty, I just send that positive thought back to them. You can do this too. You can be free. You can be happy. You can value yourself. You can do it, and just try and, maybe you're not there yet. That's okay too. And that, because you might not get there this lifetime. So, but you can if you want to. And I try and put that positive energy back to them instead of, let it fester. And because it does happen more, I guess, more regularly after you've dealt with your core issues, I think, because people get a little bit triggered around people who feel happy.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't believe it and they kind of want to tear it down, or they want to push to see where you wouldn't be happy, and where can we see where the holes are? Let's poke some holes.
It's like,
And we're not,
sending the
and we're
love
not,
back. Yeah, sorry.
no, that's okay. I was just going to say, and we're not perfect. So there's always going to be holes somewhere. So, they'll have success in finding one, but how we respond to that is really says more about, our healing than who they are as a person.
Yes. Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that was a missing part for me, because sometimes you notice it and you're like, I don't know how to respond here, but I do still feel good about myself. So it's nice to give that. It's almost like, I feel like every time I send someone positive energy, it does have a positive impact for them in some way. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to just release it and send them that.
Yeah. And maybe we were a catalyst for them to believe it's possible. They just didn't realize it yet,
Yeah, that's a great place to be too. Yeah, because for so long I have watched people, it's like, they did it. It must be possible. And then all of a sudden you become that. It's like, yeah, we can do it too.
Yeah. I remember when I first met you, and it might have been in 2014 or something along
That was just when my
that.
son was born.
And I just remember how you've changed so much. And when I was listening to you on the video, when you were talking about trusting and trusting and trusting spirit and trusting yourself and trusting that things are brought to you for a reason. And I was thinking, oh my God, because I'd totally forgotten, because when I first met you, I would have said that one of the things that I was concerned about was you're really skeptical about so many things.
Yeah.
and I seriously, like, anybody listen to this, if you're really skeptical about anything, once you've walked a path of trusting yourself for a while, you do lose that, because that skepticism was a protective mechanism, obviously. And knowing what you've been through and everything in your history, understandably. But the fact that you've transformed that is fantastic. And it just, my heart burst open when I heard you talking about trust in such a fervent way, that I just felt like you have so much growth in that area of your life, of trust, trusting. And I'm going teary again.
Yeah, I feel it too. Like, oh. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so happy for you. I really am. Makes me want to dance.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. It's so nice to be seen in that, because it really was. I didn't even trusting myself that I was dehydrated. I would ask other people whether I'm hydrated enough. Like, that was the level at, and now it's like more and more and more and more. Once you get the ball rolling, it really just grows from there. And once you learn to really crack the trust in yourself, there's just so many bigger steps you can take, because it's like, oh, well, if my heart says so, and I trust myself now, of course I do this. Of course, and it's a new life.
It's a new life, and it's like infinite possibilities, huh?
And
it's a lot of joy.
Yeah, a lot of joy.
And you look, and you're gonna say, and you look.
When I look back now, I'm thinking sometimes there were moments of, I can remember you even asking me when I did the Lightworker Practitioner training, you offered me to teach me how to do readings. And I said no, because I didn't trust anyone. I'm thinking, oh my God, this was like the best, most obvious, easiest opportunity. And I would shut all of this down, like all of it. It's like, no, I don't trust that person. I don't trust this. And it would take me sometimes years to trust someone that only had positive intentions for me. So if you can drop the skeptical and just learn to trust yourself, you can even be skeptical, but just while you're skeptical, learn to trust yourself. Oh, that's a life changer.
It's brilliant. It's life changing. Yeah. And so what's exciting for you next? What are you up to?
I'm studying nursing, actually. Next year in February. I'm really excited about that.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I'm still working on, writing my book, which is also about happiness and that you deserve your own happiness. So it's quite in
Oh,
alignment with what we talked about and my journey of,
wow.
transforming all of that to where I am today and what I've learned
Oh,
along the way. So
I'm
that's,
excited about that. Yay. Because I remember, well, back in when we were doing the training and everything, thinking
mm,
you were going to write a book. And I remember one of the students saying that they saw people lined up to you and that you'd written a book. So
yeah,
maybe, yeah, I can
it would
remember
be
that. So now
nice.
you're writing the book.
I've been
Oh,
dreaming
that's
it for so many
exciting.
years. Yeah.
And you've been helping people to also obviously doing your therapeutic sessions and things like that with people, and you're also running courses on manifesting, which is extremely
Yeah.
fantastic. So
Helping people transform their
helping
core
people,
issues.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's good. Focusing on the positive can often bring up the core issues or the barriers underneath it. So
Yeah.
it's a wonderful opportunity to do something joyful, learn something,
Yes.
and then to be able to realize, okay, I need to take those steps to do this. If I want to manifest the right things,
Yeah.
I'll be guided to look at what the barriers are to help me navigate to be able to attract the right things. And so where can people find you?
On my Facebook page, so I've got the personal one for Christine Ewald, and then my business page is Magenta Goddess. So
Yes,
I've got lots of tools. If you do want to, transform your core issues or dive into your feelings, how to feel it, all the things and more, also for free in my group, because I know it's like I kept it for free. But also, my manifestation workshops and everything are on there as well. That would be
awesome.
a good place to start. Yeah.
Fabulous. We are an absolute gift to the world. I'm so
Thank
glad that you're spreading
you.
your happiness and genuinely,
Yeah, it's
in a
important
happy
to me.
place. And I'm excited for you and on Heinrich, and I'm wishing you love and support and celebration with you in spirit for all
Thank
those things
you.
to unfold beautifully for you.
Thank you so much. And it means the world to me that you're happy dancing with me.
Yes,
Yeah, this is such a
always.
big part of what I've learned. Yeah, and the Lightworker Practitioner training as well.
Yeah.
Life
Thanks.
transforming.
Thanks. Thank you so much. And we'll catch everybody next time on Enlightened Conversations. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.